In the flames of their fear, innocent voices were silenced forever. These chilling words echo the dark legacy of the witch hunts that swept through Europe and America during the early modern period. A time when superstition and fear kindled a horrifying blaze of persecution, snuffing out thousands of lives. It's a haunting past where paranoia ruled, and the innocent paid the price. Tonight, we uncover the truths and myths behind one of the darkest chapters in human history. The early modern period, a time of socio-economic and religious turmoil. This era, spanning roughly from the late 15th to the late 18th century, was marked by profound changes that shook the very foundations of society. The established order was challenged as never before, resulting in a climate of fear and uncertainty. Across Europe and America, the old feudal system was crumbling, replaced by the rise of capitalism. This shift led to increased social tensions, as the gap between the rich and the poor widened. Meanwhile, the Reformation was tearing apart the religious fabric of society, leading to bloody religious wars and deep-seated sectarian animosity. In this turbulent context, three locations stand out as epicenters of the witch hunts: Salem, Pendle, and Würzburg. In Salem, Massachusetts, mass hysteria led to the infamous Salem witch trials in 1692. Across the Atlantic, in Pendle, England, 12 people were accused of using witchcraft to murder 10 others in 1612. And in Würzburg, Germany, one of the largest witch trials in Europe resulted in the execution of hundreds over a period of 5 years starting in 1626. These were places where fear and superstition ran wild, where whispers of witchcraft could turn friends into foes, and where the innocent could quickly become the accused. In this climate of fear and uncertainty, the witch hunts began. Among the victims, a midwife from Germany, a farmer from England, and a servant from Salem. Each of these individuals, their lives drastically altered by a whirlwind of fear and suspicion, were ensnared in the witch hunts of the early modern period. The first, a midwife from Germany. Considered a pillar of her community, she was relied upon for her knowledge of childbirth and women's health. Yet, when a child she delivered did not survive, accusations of witchcraft began to swirl, fueled by grief and superstition. Imagined tales of her consorting with the devil and casting malevolent spells replaced the respect she once held. She, like many others, was caught in a web of fear from which there was no escape. Our second story takes us to England, where a humble farmer fell under the shadow of suspicion. A series of poor harvests, coupled with the sudden death of livestock, led his neighbors to point fingers. In an era where misfortune was often attributed to the supernatural, he was branded a witch, accused of cursing his community. His story is a stark reminder of the perilous line between natural calamity and imagined evil. Finally, we venture to Salem in the New World, where a servant's fate was sealed by the mere whisper of witchcraft. Accused by the children of the household, her story was twisted into a narrative of malevolent spirits and demonic possession. Her pleas of innocence fell on deaf ears, drowned out by the clamor for justice against an unseen enemy. These stories, although separated by geography, are united by a common thread of fear, suspicion, and the tragic consequences of misunderstanding. They were ordinary individuals, living ordinary lives, until they were caught in the crosshairs of the witch hunts. Their lives, forever marked by accusations of witchcraft, echo a chilling tale of fear and suspicion. Their stories serve as a stern reminder of the destructive power of fear and the human capacity for cruelty in the face of the unknown. The witch hunts were not just the work of frenzied mobs. In fact, the hand of authority, both religious and governmental, played a pivotal role in this dark chapter of human history. Let's delve deeper into this aspect. During the early modern period, the church was an influential institution, guiding the moral compass of society. With the fear of the unknown, the natural phenomena that couldn't be explained were often attributed to supernatural forces, the work of witches. The church, in its quest to maintain order and uphold faith, unfortunately, endorsed these fears. Church leaders, armed with the Malleus Maleficarum, or the Hammer of Witches, a guide that detailed how to identify, hunt, and interrogate witches, sanctioned witch trials. This approval gave the witch hunts a veneer of legitimacy, causing the paranoia to spread like wildfire. Now let's turn our gaze towards the state. The governance of the time was largely intertwined with religion, making it another key player in this grim spectacle. Rulers, driven by fear and the desire to control, used witch hunts as a tool to consolidate power. The accused were often marginalized individuals, easy targets to shift the blame on during times of crisis. In England, witchcraft was made a capital offense under the Witchcraft Act of 1563 during the reign of Queen Elizabeth I. Across the Atlantic, in the colonies of America, the infamous Salem witch trial saw the state and church working in tandem, leading to the execution of 20 people. These witch hunts, fueled by authority figures, created a climate of fear and suspicion. The rule of law was manipulated to serve personal agendas, leading to gross injustices. The ordeal was not just physical but psychological, with the accused living under the constant threat of being singled out, tortured, or even put to death. In the name of religion and governance, countless lives were destroyed. This serves as a stark reminder of the devastating consequences when power is wielded without justice and empathy. The echoes of this past still reverberate, reminding us to question authority and seek truth beyond fear and superstition. The methods of persecution were as varied as they were cruel. Now let's delve into the grim details of these methods. The witch hunts of the early modern period employed terrifying instruments of terror, each more chilling than the last. The witch trials were a spectacle of horror. Accused individuals were put to the test in public forums, where their guilt or innocence was determined not by evidence, but by gut-wrenching tests and the whims of the crowd. The trials were not merely a question of legal justice, but rather a macabre theater of fear and superstition. The ordeal by water was a particularly brutal method of determining a person's guilt. The accused were bound and thrown into a body of water. It was believed that witches, having renounced their baptism, would be rejected by the water and float. If you sank, you were innocent. If you floated, you were guilty. A morbid catch-22, if you will, where survival could mean death by execution. And then, there were the witches' marks. These were supposed marks left on the body of a witch by the devil himself. In reality, these could be anything from birthmarks to scars, or even just the natural blemishes of the skin. The witch hunters would meticulously search the body of the accused for these marks, a dehumanizing process that further stripped the accused of their dignity and humanity. Ironically, these methods, designed to root out evil, revealed a darker side of humanity itself. They displayed an unsettling willingness to inflict pain and suffering on others, based on fear and ignorance. The instruments of terror used in the witch hunts were more than just physical tools. They were symbolic of a time when fear overpowered reason, and superstition held sway over justice. These brutal methods stand as a grim testament to humanity's capacity for fear and cruelty. As we move forward, it's important to remember this dark chapter in our history, not just for its horror, but for the lessons it can teach us about the dangers of fear, ignorance, and unchecked power. The witch hunts left an indelible mark on our world, shaping not only our history, but also the bedrock of our modern society and legal systems. The echoes of these dark times reverberate through the centuries, reminding us of a past where fear and superstition ruled over reason. In the aftermath of the witch hunts, societies began to scrutinize their legal practices. The trials were often wholly devoid of due process, with the accused rarely receiving a fair hearing. This sparked a re-evaluation of judicial processes, planting the seeds for the rights we hold dear today: the right to a fair trial, the presumption of innocence, and the need for evidence beyond reasonable doubt. Moreover, the witch hunts brought to light the devastating consequences of unchecked mass hysteria and the misuse of power. They served as a stark reminder of the importance of separating church and state, a principle now enshrined in many modern constitutions. The victims of the witch hunts have not been forgotten. Memorials stand today as poignant reminders of the innocent lives lost. Yet they also stand as symbols of resilience, of societies learning from their past, striving to create a world where such injustices are never repeated. From these dark times, our modern principles of justice and fairness were born. The echoes of the past continue to shape our present, a testament to the enduring human capacity to learn, grow, and seek a more equitable world. As we look back on the witch hunts, we are reminded of the power of fear and the importance of reason. This dark chapter in our history serves as a stark reminder of the devastating consequences when superstition overpowers logic, when fear fuels persecution. It underlines the necessity for critical thinking, for empathy, for justice. May we never forget the voices silenced in the flames, for they remind us of the darkness we must strive to leave behind.